You know those times where you just feel like your life has been stagnant? I'm starting to feel that. You know, I've been making good money this week, but it seems like the cost is so high just from the amount of depreciation I put on my car, and then just the stress of driving around, and you're constantly seeing your paycheck and the amount that you make per ride just continually go down. It's like Uber just lowers the amount of money you can make every day by like a couple pennies. And I know that they're going to drastically drop it by the end of the month. And it's really disheartening. And they kind of do it in stages where at first it's deliveries that get a big hit. And like right now, I've been seeing these delivery requests, like 20 miles for $8 to $10. And they don't come back around. So somebody's doing it. Now the plus is that someone's taking that delivery, which is going to take an hour and 10 minutes for like $10, which then frees up, another spot for like the profitable rides. So in a way, I guess that it's kind of helping me because that's taking the car off the road for a long time to basically make no money. And they're probably going to get burnt out by doing that and end up quitting. But still, like, it would be nice just to get paid like a reasonable amount for the level of work that you're doing. Say you're driving to Safeway, you're going into the store, you're finding all the products, which takes a while, and then you're driving to the person's house and delivering it maybe to an apartment upstairs, trying to find the house. It's just a lot of work and very little pay. And I'm willing to do it. And obviously there are people willing to do it for much less than I am. But, why not just pay people for the work they're doing? If minimum wage is $17 and you make $10 over an hour and 10 minutes, you're kind of an idiot. I mean, Uber is kind of smart by doing it because they pocket a lot more money. But we're kind of becoming this third world country in a way with our wages, it seems. And I'm sure at some point people are going to be like, well, we need these people come across the border because no one wants to work in farming or driving on Uber. And it's like, well, I'm already here. Like, I would do it. But it's like I just really can't afford it. And I know I won't be able to afford even the ride portions soon. And I'll have to find something else, which is good because I've been just too stagnant with the gig economy for far too long. I've been doing this whole gig economy work on the side or full time for the last 12 years. And the one thing that I've learned is our wages typically always go down. But sometimes there's like some bonuses that get kicked over. But those rarely make up just for the rate decreases per mile and then per minute on these ordeals. And it seems like it's a double-edged sword for Uber where they are making more money, right, by decreasing people's rate that they can make. So they make more money. The less the driver makes, the more Uber makes. But on the flip side, the less drivers are making, their product, which is rides, transportation, takes a hit. The value for how much these rides cost now are just going down so quickly. I think I do quite well because I speak English, I'm in a nice car, I'm usually representable, I'm friendly. You know, a lot of that goes into making up the extra that you're losing from Uber taking it away, kind of through like tips, because if the rides are more expensive, then your 15% gratuity, say, is just more. So a lot of the time, I'm making it up quite substantially just because the ride is so expensive. And then I'm actually making as much in the tip sometimes as the ride is. But still, I see a lot of people out driving in Tahoe, and I've never seen it like this before, with just so many people who don't speak English. They don't know how to read the signs. I see them in the Safeways, and they're just struggling to get these orders completed. Their cars are disgusting. They're old, they're dilapidated and falling apart. And just for someone, say, who's spending $40 to go 8 miles down the road, the value just isn't there. I feel that your safety would be at risk. You are getting into a dirty vehicle, leaving your clothes kind of filthy. The driver probably has been smoking in the car. And just the whole experience just can't be that great. And so I think that by removing a lot of people like myself, when I eventually quit doing this, I think it's not going to be an overall good thing for companies like Uber in the long run. And they're not going to be able to do Waymos or their Zook autonomous vehicles here because there's no good lane lines. There's snow half the year. There's tons of potholes. So unless you have eyeballs looking at the roads, it's kind of like you're going to just ruin tires and wheels and whatnot. And it's kind of too bad because it's going to force a lot of good Americans, I think, out of the business and force them into just more contemporary, normal desk jobs, perhaps, or just jobs where they don't have the freedom to work when they want and kind of play life on their own rules. And that's such a great thing to be able to have, and such a gift that the gig economy has given people. And I think it's just the corporate greed is going to ruin it for themselves eventually, and then just Americans and people in other countries, of course, and around the world. And people are most likely going to lose their jobs when autonomous vehicles come out. And so the human capital is going to take a big hit. And I think in the end, these big billion-dollar corporations are not going to see the returns that they're hoping for, because I'll tell you, cars, man, they are just freaking expensive. There's always something going on that you got to fix, replace. The gas, the charging infrastructure, tires, you know, you have differentials, transmission fluids, you know, electric cars still have a lot of maintenance, and when they break, they can cost just as much as the car is brand new to repair. So it's kind of disheartening, but in a way it's motivating for me to find and do something else and kind of push harder into that direction, because I know even if I'm still in Tahoe and autonomous vehicles aren't coming here, the time is coming, and it's coming relatively quickly. And the thing is, if we paid people a meaningful amount of money to live, I think that you'd see a lot more people doing all types of jobs that are typically given to migrants. But just because as Americans, our cost of living is just so astronomically expensive, and it's probably just going to get worse. I think we're going to see a de-migration from America, just with the lack of jobs, opportunities coming up, the cost of living, this war in Iran. Just the first day cost $5.6 billion, I think I was reading. And they say it's going to last a couple months at probably $1 billion a day. But you know, these things go much longer than what they speculate. So we're probably in it for a long term. And so we're kind of just borrowing money today we're borrowing the money from the future to pay for today. That's what we're doing. And so like our kids are going to pay for this in the future. And who knows if we're going to get a real return from it. I doubt it. Wars typically don't really pan out for normal people. Maybe the military complex, you know, and the amount of money that we dump into that. And maybe we'll get some good technology, because military usually comes up with good technology for us, I think. But overall, you know, if the private market did it, it would probably be much better off for us. So I think that, you know, migrants are going to be hurting just the same as Americans, and I think they're probably just going to get fed up with it after a while and go back home where it's cheaper to live. And, you know, honestly, I talked to some people from Guatemala and they're like, man, I love it back at home. It's great. You know, with as many problems as a place like Guatemala has, they have free healthcare and education, along with the occasional times where their dollar just becomes worthless. But who knows, maybe we'll be there too, where the loaf of bread will be going up on a weekly basis. You know, I mean, who knows? Everything's probably going to end up getting worse before it gets better, sadly. And that's just what history has always shown us. I am a firm believer, however, in where there's a will, there is a way. And if people from around the world can come to the States and make a difference in their lives and make it work here, well, for sure, us as Americans, we can do the same. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity to prosper, but I think it's going to take a lot of courage and perseverance, and more than we've had to in the past. Say 15 years ago, you could probably just get your college degree and you're kind of set. You know, you come out and you have a good job right away, making 70,000 a year. You could buy a house and you're doing all right. But now the college degree isn't really worth that much. The typical education system has kind of let us all down. So it's going to take some different modes of thinking, and perhaps some more non-common methods. You know, no one's going to be coming to probably save us, and it's going to come up to our own ingenuity, which I think that's what other people in other countries, if you look at Hispanics, Indians, the Chinese, they're very industrialist. They come up with ways of creating a product or a service and doing it cheaper. And, you know, they succeed, and, you know, they see something that America's doing, and they probably see a lot of the inefficiencies and improve upon it. There are some people I know here in Tahoe, and they just started selling life insurance, and they do that from their computer, and they moved overseas. And, you know, they're not making a ton of money, but they can work remote, and they move to another country, and they say they're never looking back. And they could never do it in the States, but they can sell insurance online to people, and they can live a darn good life somewhere else in another country. So there's always that option too, I suppose. There's a lot of South American countries, Brazil, Argentina, Mexico. I know that they're giving out visas as long as you're making $2,000-$3,000 a month, which isn't a whole lot. Then you can get that visa and go right on in and make those American wages and live in Mexico, say, and buy a house down there. And then you're doing the exact same thing as the Mexican who comes here to the States to work, and then he does the same thing back home. The only thing is he's got to be in America to make the money, probably, to send it back home to Mexico. Whereas for us, we have the benefit of making the American wage and not having to live here too. So I think there's a lot of opportunity, but it's going to take ingenuity, a lot of hard work, creativity for sure, and outside the box thinking, and probably just a huge desire to get out of the circle jerk of American corporatism and just being stagnant and perhaps what's comfortable here, but not serving our best interests. But I don't know. Maybe you can let me know your thoughts. This is just stuff I'm kind of just thinking about today and off the cuff. I don't have a script in front of me. I'm just here blabbing, walking. Like, look at this. It's a beautiful day out. It's like 70 degrees here in Tahoe, and I'm just so blessed and fortunate to have made like good money and still making decent money, like doing what I'm doing. And it's just been incredible. Like, look at this. People are riding their bikes all over the place. It's amazing. So I just want to say thank you for watching me walk along the Truckee River today. Listen to me blabbing. Feeling a lot better today than I have all week. Even though I did wake up at 3 a.m. this morning, pick up my first rider. And I went until about 2 o'clock without much of a break. But I did get in some meditation, which is really incredible how much that helps calm the mind and helps you focus and get your clear thinking back. And that's really great. I'm excited. Tomorrow is Sunday, and then Monday I get to get the new addition to my life. And I think going forward, I'm going to do some more rideshare content. Since my time might be coming to an end, maybe I'll just have some more fun with it. Record some, maybe do a couple practical jokes on some passengers I've been thinking about. Just like trying to make it like a ride share, throw in some comedy stuff, and not be so serious about life. It's already short enough, and we need to just have more adventure along our journey on this planet, and have a smile more often, and not just think about doom and gloom and everything that's terrible, and wars and politics and decreasing wages and whatnot. So hopefully things will change around a little bit. I'll have a little bit more of content that's a little bit different, I think, on Tuesday and going forward. And with that, I just want to say thank you for watching, listening to my blabber, and I hope you have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.